Has anyone ever taken anything from you without your consent? Maybe your lunch was stolen out of the fridge. Or maybe a friend borrowed a t-shirt and never gave it back. Annoying, right? What if someone stole money from you? Or your car? Or your phone? More than annoying, you'd be pretty upset. Am I right? Okay, let's take it one step further. What if someone said that from now on, they're going to dictate the choices that you're allowed to make about your body. They're going to limit your words and your actions, and they're going to diminish you for who you love and how you live your life. They're also going to monitor you regularly. Sounds scary, right? Well, guess what? Almost every American deals with one of those scenarios as a reality. Today, I will explain the effects and consequences of limiting Americans' individual rights and threatening their civil liberties. Even if you've never felt like your human or your civil rights have been in danger, I guarantee you that someone that's close to you has. I have. The American Civil Liberties Union is also known as the ACLU, and it's an organization that has initiated, fought, appealed, contested, won, and lost some of the largest battles in history. According to their website, aclu.org, they repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the U.S. military. They shared a victory with the NAACP in the Brown versus the Board of Education case. They successfully destroyed DOMA, and just 2 years later, they celebrated their win that made the freedom to marry the law of the land. Today, I will tell you how our rights as Americans are being threatened and why everyone is affected. How the ACLU is making a difference and fighting for change, and how you can help support the fight to avoid continued injustice. So, why are Americans' rights in danger? In December of 1791, the Bill of Rights was ratified and added to the United States Constitution. When James Madison wrote those 10 amendments, he intended that they be open for interpretation by the courts. Now, over the last 231 years, the proper interpretation of these amendments has been disputed and debated by the Supreme Court in numerous cases, allowing Americans' individual rights and liberties to be threatened time and time again since the birth of our nation. Unfortunately, I don't think that the need to defend our individual freedoms from government abuse is ever going to stop. However, thanks to the American Civil Liberties Union, there are reliable organizations out there to help fight for your rights. The statistics that support this problem are endless, and the timeline runs infinitely in both directions. This fight for freedom and equality is not just found in your history books, it's happening right now. According to the Human Rights Watch website, hrw.org, in 2019, the United States continued to move backward on rights. The Trump administration rolled out inhumane immigration policies and promoted false narratives that perpetuated racism and discrimination, did not do nearly enough to address mass incarceration, undermined the rights of women, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, further weakened the ability of Americans to obtain adequate health care, and deregulated industries that put people's health and safety at risk. The ACLU is always fighting for Americans on multiple cases just like these. Currently, much of their focus is dedicated toward fighting to protect abortion at the state level since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. According to an article on PBS.org by Allison Thowett, 8 in 10 Americans worry that some of their constitutional rights are being diluted or taken away, according to a new survey by the Montpelier Foundation. The impact of these problems on a community are catastrophic. Every time an American is told that they can't do something because of who they are or how they look, a community is affected. Every time an American has a basic human right denied of them, a community is affected. Meaning, the ACLU is vital for the sake of humanity. So, what can we do to create change and fight for the rights of all Americans? Your support for the ACLU helps to defend Americans' rights. The ACLU has chapters in all 50 states. Their headquarters is in New York City. They have over 500 attorneys on staff and thousands of volunteers. They provide services in courtrooms across the country, from small cities all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The ACLU fights for human and civil rights. The ACLU is solving the problem by successfully winning cases and creating change. According to their website, since 1920, The ACLU has initiated some of the most influential change in history, from segregation to voting rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, reproductive rights, the right to marry, don't ask, don't tell, transgender rights, free speech, national security, racial justice, religious freedom, privacy, and technology. That's just to name a select few. But they couldn't have done it without donations and volunteers from people like you. So what happens if the ACLU doesn't receive the support it needs to continue their work? Imagine what the ACLU can accomplish with even more support. Imagine how many more people could have quality attorneys to defend them when their human rights are at stake. Imagine how many more humans who have been discriminated against could fight for justice. Imagine the incredible amount of change that could come from supporting a stronger, louder fight for American rights. The ACLU receives zero government funding, yet they never charge their clients. It's up to you to help them do their job. Imagine if we didn't have the ACLU to fight for our individual rights and liberties. Would we still have racial segregation? Would women and minorities be able to vote? Would gays be allowed to marry? Would our right to free speech be severely limited? Would government surveillance be even more intrusive into our personal lives? Imagine if your humanity was at stake, or your way of life was being questioned or restricted, and you had nowhere to turn. What would you do? You'd likely live with those restrictions, accept it as status quo. Without the ACLU, America would be a very different country. Thankfully, there is something that you can do to help. Today, I've explained how our rights as Americans are being threatened, how the ACLU is making a difference in fighting for change, and how you can help to support the fight to avoid continued injustice. So, what exactly can you do to help? You can become a member. $20 a year is all it takes to become a member of the ACLU. There are other donation options. There are other membership options depending on how much you want to help. All you need to do is go to aclu.org. It's right there on their homepage. It's so easy. Do as Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that leads others to join you.